All right, Figurama crew, we have a shorter one today. These are my first G.I. Joe Classified retro carded figures in the Figurama collection. And I haven't gotten any of the retro carded figures yet because I haven't felt that I needed to get any up to this point. I was pretty happy with the classified version of most characters, and I still am. I still like the updated classified versions of most of the characters. However, having said that, Duke, I had some complaints with. I only have the Tiger Force Duke. We will compare them in this video. It's gonna be a relatively quick one today. And then Scarlett. Scarlett is my favorite heroine from G.I. Joe. I really liked Scarlett back in the day, especially in the comic book. She was a pretty complex character. You know, being with Snake Eyes, she went through a lot of different things, a lot of different, emotional stories in the comic book. And she's definitely a more complex character than, Lady J. Lady J was pretty boring. Not a lot of the other ladies got a lot of screen time other than, Lady J and Scarlett. And, some random ones, Baroness, obviously. But Scarlett and Jinx were my favorite female G.I. Joes. And I'm super hyped about the Jinx figure coming out. Super hyped about that. And I have liked the Scarlett figures that have come out so far. But when, obviously, they first showed this off, I was like all in. I don't know. This looks so good right here. I can't wait to get it out of the package. And this is the only one I ordered because it was the only one I planned on getting. And then at Target later on, I don't know, a few weeks ago, I just randomly saw Mr. Duke here in the retro carded package. And I liked him so much that I had to get him too. So I got two. These are my first two retro carded G.I. Joe Classifieds. So just like the retro figures are supposed to be, these are, loosely based on their version 1 figures. So Scarlett was from series 1 in 1982. She was one of the original ones. And she actually didn't get a second version of her figure for 11 years later. In 1993, which I did have, that was the Ninja Force one. I did have that one grown up. And she's definitely my favorite female character in G.I. Joe. Duke is actually from series 2, released in 1983. And this is sort of his classic uniform from that figure, from, the cartoon, from everything back in the day. This is his original look. His version 2 figure, only his second version, was 5 years later, and it was actually the Tiger Force variant. So the Tiger Force variant I have, I'll compare them a little bit later when I get them in the package. But anyways, these are classic. These are their classic looks. Their first version looks classic all the way. So let's get these puppies out of the package and compare them to the other classifieds. All right, so Miss Scarlett has been released, and I must say that the sculpt look on her, the overall sort of just look of her and everything, absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. Again, this is based on her obviously first figure ever, the first series of G.I. Joes. I call them potato-y. That's my descriptor, the official Figurama descriptor for the first series of G.I. Joes. They all look like potatoes. She's no exception. But obviously, she's the redhead of the bunch. She just had the two-toned sort of outfit there that was very plain. But, like based on the old cartoon and everything, she did have a little bit more details. Like she did have this sort of red stripe on her shoulder right here. She had a grenade right there. She had these throwing stars on her wristband right here, like her glove. If you actually watch the cartoon, it actually changed sides a lot because that's just the way cartoons were back then. But it typically is on her left side right there, so they match that pretty good. This belt is new. This belt, her original figure didn't come with anything. It was her and a crossbow. That's it. So I'm actually surprised. This, like I said, this is my first retro figure. She comes with so many accessories, like it's kind of blowing my mind a little bit. But I'm not going to complain, right? She's my favorite heroine from G.I. Joe, and I love the sculpt work. She's got these little these pockets on the side of her boots. Those are also, you can see those in the cartoon quite a lot too. And this is such, I like the other Scarlett figures, which we'll go over in a second, but this is easily the greatest female G.I. Joe classified figure thus far. The sculpt work on this, just the overall, you know, body proportions and everything are so good. The only thing I would say is the color matching a little bit. This top part, I don't know if it's intentional, but it's definitely a different yellow. It's sort of, her uniform's not yellow, it's not tan, it's like in between. It's like a mustard yellow a little bit, but you can see this yellow is a little bit lighter than the yellow, you know, on the rest of the uniform, which is, you know, it's kind of off-putting, but again, maybe it was done on purpose. Maybe this is a different material or something. It actually does have a slightly different sort of sheen on it a little bit. It's definitely a little shinier than this part on front. This is more matte. So maybe that was intentional, or maybe they just, I don't know, suck at color matching still. I don't know. But this, aesthetically, this is awesome. Scarlett is awesome. She definitely looks different without her ponytail. She comes with multiple ponytails right here. So there's a more static ponytail, and I guess, you know, a more like flowing ponytail. So we'll get one in there and see what she looks like with that in. And ooh, that is Scarlett right there. That is Scarlett. Absolutely. Again, if you know G.I. Joe, you see this from a distance, or you know, at a glance, you know who this is for sure. And like I said, like I said before, Scarlett's one of my favorite characters. She actually went through a lot of stuff in the comic book, you know, being, you know, Snake Eyes' better half, and, you know, the stuff that he went through in the comic book, she also went through too with him. So that's definitely why she's to me, she's one of the most complex G.I. Joe characters. And I really like that about her. So I definitely have a soft spot for her, and I love this look. It's the typical G.I. Joe articulation, which I'm not going to necessarily go over. She does have small butterfly joints in there too. So all the articulation is all, you know, completely updated to what it needs to be. They're all pinless joints and all that good stuff. I really like this arrow holder right here on the waist. It looks really good like that. And she does come with arrows, which we'll put in there in a second. The sculpt on her like leg muscles is, I mean, it's honestly really good. I know it's, I don't know, it might be kind of creepy to be commenting on that, but I mean, the way they did her legs, she's very muscular because she's a ninja, you know what I mean? She trains with Snake Eyes. They, you know, go on stealth missions together and stuff, and you know, she definitely fits the part with her overall aesthetic. And this is a slam dunk of a figure right here. This looks so good, even from the back. It's got, you know, all the good paint details on there going down to the boots. There's not a lot of different stuff going on here, but it's definitely more complex than her original G.I. Joe figure. So it's a, you know, win-win right there. All right, let's talk about head sculpt. This looks like an all-new head sculpt to me. This is her original figure. This is the redeco version, and you can definitely see the difference. This one is more, I don't want to say cartoony. It's a, you know, it's definitely happier. She's got a little smirk on there. This one's definitely more serious. And, you know, the features are a little bit different too. You know, slightly bigger nose. And the overall head is actually slightly bigger than this one. But I do like Scarlett so much. I actually did get the terrible G.I. Joe Snake Eyes movie figures. I did get her in that too. It was on sale on Amazon for like, I don't know, $5, $4.99. $3, something ridiculous like that. So I had to get it because I do like Scarlett so much. So there's sort of a comparison of all three heads. And this one obviously is made to look more like the actress that played her in the movie. So it's definitely different than the other ones too. These are the two sort of mainline head sculpts right here. And, you know, you can see the differences a little bit. There's obviously a lot of difference in the hair color. This is definitely a more muted tone to it. On the left is definitely, I don't know, I would say a more sort of feminine head, I guess you could say. Whereas, you know, the new retro carded one is more sophisticated. In this figure, she almost looks like a teenager almost, you know, like 18 years old, early 20s. And, you know, the new retro carded one, she looks like an adult. I don't know how to explain it other than that. But I don't dislike this figure whatsoever. I know a lot of people dislike it, but this, her classic look right here, this is amazing. All right, let's go over hands first. She does have a couple hands here. They're both punching hands. She comes with the trigger finger hands on out of the box, and these are up and down. The articulation is up and down on these, and the fists are forward and backward. So that's the difference here. And she comes with a lot of different accessories, so I think I'm gonna keep the trigger finger hands on there. And like I said, her original figure came with just a crossbow, so this is definitely a departure here, but she actually does come with 3 firearms right here. So this is an AK sort of rifle right here. This one right here, it looks pretty similar to this one. It just obviously doesn't have, you know, the ammo clip right there in them, but they're relatively similar. And then she does have a handgun right here too. And you know, one of the hallmarks of the classified series is the figures can always hold all their weapons, but I don't think they're doing that with the retro carded figures. Again, this is my first retro carded figure, because there's no way she can carry all this, I don't think. But we'll see. I don't think so though. But there's good sculpt work on them, and I do like the sort of the paint details. They definitely match, they color match, you know, her holsters and her arrow holder on her body. So they definitely match, they definitely go together. She also comes with a teeny tiny knife. There is no paint details here or anything. Well, I guess the blade is a little different than the handle, but it's not much. And she does have a knife holster right here, so she can get that knife in there just like that. But the only other holder she has on her body, essentially, is the arrow pack. And she does have a backpack. She does have a backpack, which maybe holds her guns. We'll see in a second. But we're going to stay on the weapons for now. So obviously she has a crossbow. That's what she's known for, arrow weapons, right? And she comes with these different arrows right here. So it looks like there's 3, you know, just normal arrows right here. And this is one of the trick arrows. She had, you know, different trick arrows. Lady J had like different, you know, spears that she threw with different like abilities and stuff like that. And the arrows are no exception with Scarlett right here. She does have, you know, this crossbow right here, which this is not reuse from one of her old figures. Her old figures definitely had different crossbows, and the front of it does come off just like that. I don't know why. I don't know why you want to do that, but it actually can hold an arrow in it, which we'll see in a second. All right, there you go. There's one of the arrows, just pops right in the top, and it looks really good. It's in there nice and well, which is kind of surprising, but she can hold an arrow in there for sure. The sculpt details is honestly pretty good on this for such a small gun. There's no paint accents though, obviously. All right, so our arrow holder here does hold the arrows. Like this trick one right there has to go like that, which is kind of weird because the point's going out. If it was an arrow holder, you would have the end of the arrow pointed out, because she's got to grab them, right? She's not gonna grab the arrowhead side, but it looks like they were meant to. It looks like they were meant to go in backside in, because they go in straight backside in, and it keeps them nice and firm in there. You can put these guys technically arrow side in, but they're pretty loose. Do go in the holder, but they go in a little weird, I would say. Meaning the way these arrow holders work, obviously, the end of the arrow should be out because she's grabbing them, right? But they're a little loose if you put them in with the tip down. They definitely go in better with the back side down, but obviously that's not how you use, you know, an arrow pouch. You don't want to be grabbing the tip with your fingers. That's how you lose your fingers, lady. So they do go in there, but they're very, very loose, very loose. The exception to that is this arrow, right? This arrow has to go back in because it's got this, I don't know, this gizmo at the end right here. But again, that doesn't make sense. So, you know, it's definitely cool. It's cool that it's here. You can try to get it in there with the tips down. And I mean, it looks good. There is one arrow in the crossbow still that I'll keep in there, but essentially there is spots for all 4 arrows here if you want to keep all 4 of them there. But with the tips down, they don't fit all that well, and they're a little bit loose. So it's just kind of a weird design choice. It's pretty cool though. Like I definitely dig this design. Her original figure obviously didn't have anything like that, but it's a super awesome design right there for sure. Right, and she does come with a backpack here. So I mentioned earlier, she might not be able to carry all of her accessories. That was before I saw the backpack. So the backpack, you know, it's got nice sculpted details. And again, her original figure did not have a backpack. All she came with was a crossbow. So this is new to her. Put the gummy, like not, not straight guns at all on here by putting the peg through the trigger finger hole, it looks like. And so there, she can hold the guns, and you can tell, typical G.I. Joe classified quality, the guns are very rubbery and they're bent right out of the package. Something I hate, but you know, they're relatively straight. And because of her ponytail right here, it might be kind of difficult to actually get this in. Let's see, what are we gonna do with this ponytail? What are we gonna do with this ponytail? All right, so this ponytail is probably specifically designed for when she is wearing the backpack, because it's got, you know, it's got that more flowing nature to it, like I mentioned earlier, but maybe it's not flowing, maybe it's just to get out of the way of the backpack right here, which, you know, looks pretty good. Like, she looks good with it on it. I never envision her with a backpack, so I'm not gonna have her with the backpack in the display, but she does have her backpack. She does have her gummy, crooked, ugly guns on it, but you know, they fit. The backpack is staying in, so that's a plus right there. So she can hold both rifles on the backpack, and she's got two trigger hands. She can hold the crossbow and the handgun. There's no way to put the handgun on her body. So if you want her to hold all of her accessories, what I'm getting at is she's gonna have to have one in each hand and the two on the backpack. And also, retro carded figures apparently all come with a stand too. Like I said, this is my first one, but it's got a G.I. Joe stand, the G.I. Joe star logo right there, and you know, pegs for the feet. So that is G.I. Joe Classified retro carded Scarlett, and I love it. She definitely compares well to the other Scarlett figures. I definitely think it's the best of the sort of trio right here, even though it's technically four, because this one's just a recolor. I do like the original quite a lot. I do like the head, the younger looking head on it and everything. But this is like, this is nostalgia right here. This is classic Scarlett in every sense of the word. The sculpt work is amazing. The G.I. Joe articulation is awesome. No pins anywhere. Her weapons are good. Her machine guns I'm not too happy with, but you know, the color scheme is classic. I love her hair. It's not too bright. It's not too dull. The face sculpt definitely looks more mature on her than the past figures. And this is just a ballin' figure. Ballin' version of Scarlett. Scarlett's definitely my favorite, and this lives up to the hype in every way. All right, Duke out of the box. And just like Scarlett, he definitely hits that sort of retro look that Duke had, especially, again, his version 1 figure. And there's a lot of new sculpt here. Like I have the Tiger Force old Duke, right? I anticipated there to be a little reuse between the two, but it doesn't look like it. First things first is the old Duke has pins. Pins in the legs, pins in the arms, no pins here. The shoulders are definitely different, the sculpt details and stuff. There's no ab crunch on the retro figures. It's got an ab crunch here. So there's really not a lot of use in between the two. And, you know, a lot of people didn't like this version of Duke due to, you know, the metal parts on him and stuff, that he wasn't classic enough, were the complaints I heard. I don't mind that. That's what Classified is, modernizing them. But if you have that retro itch for Duke, like this is a pure upgrade right here. This is his super classic look, but you know, in 6-inch form. It looks amazing. The big improvement to me is the head. if you can see, the head is definitely, when I did a review of his figure originally, my big complaint, not necessarily complaint, but my biggest comment was that he doesn't look very old. Duke in the comic book and in the cartoon was, you know, one of the elder statesmen of G.I. Joe, right? And I didn't feel the original head captured that. He looked a little too young in it. And I wouldn't say that he looks a lot older in this head, but this head is definitely way closer to the cartoon and the comic book. It's definitely closer, but it's definitely an improvement from the first head for sure, 100%. So definitely this is my Duke. This looks awesome. He's got the classic colors, you know, the tan and the, you know, the military green right here going down to the boots. He's got the normal basic G.I. Joe articulation. Obviously, you know, there's no ab crunch here. I think most of the retro cards don't have an ab crunch. I'm not 100% sure on that, since these are my first two. And the women never have an ab crunch, the female characters. But all the other articulation is basically, you know, the G.I. Joe classified articulation, butterfly joints, swivel right there, double knees, double elbows, trigger fingers, hands usually go up and down, and they're both trigger fingers that he comes with. And you know, he's kind of plain, but he does match the retro aesthetic. Like, this is what he looks like, period, end of story. This is what he looked like. So the sculpt details in that sense are perfect. Like, they're great. They're great. He really fits the aesthetic right there for sure. And the articulation is classic G.I. Joe articulation. Duke is looking like classic Duke to me. Now, the first couple accessories we're going to talk about are the same accessories the old Duke did come with. So he did come with this gun, which is, you know, a take on his sort of his classic gun right here. And this is actually a take on his classic backpack too. He had, you know, pretty much the same backpack back in the day. And this one looks even better than the Tiger Force one, just because the painted accents. It's got the black, you know, canteen bottle lids right there, the green shovel to match everything else. It's got that, you know, that little decal right there, which is an amazing touch, And make sure when you put them on, there is actually a hole in this his bandolier grenade holder right there. So let's see if we can get it in there and maybe it not fall out. But yeah, the color matching is really good. Like, this is Duke colors. Like, that is so good. Like, you can look at this and it's 100% Duke, especially from the cartoon. Looks a little bit older in the cartoon, like I said, but I mean, if you just look at this aesthetic, I mean, this is Duke from the cartoon. He does come with two other guns, and this gun is the same as Scarlett's, which is honestly kind of weird. They came out in the same wave and they share a gun. Like, I'm not sure I agree with that, I guess. He does have a small handgun too. So again, you know, on the guns, the sculpting detail is always there. The bigger gun has paint accent on it, which I definitely love. He does have a gun holster on his leg for that guy right there, so he can hold that on him. And while we're talking about holsters, we might as well talk about the knife too. The knife actually has two different paint accents on it, and that's the selling point to me. You know, I love that. So it looks really good. Sure, it's not a unique sculpt or anything, and he does have a holster for it down on his ankle right there. It looks really good, especially with that gold handle. I love that little gold butt to the handle right there. It gives it some contrast, makes it stand out a little bit. And he does come with a helmet here, and it's just, you know, a plain style military helmet, but I haven't seen this in the classified series. It's actually got a visor that is actually articulated, so you can move it up and down. And like I said, I haven't personally seen that. I don't have every figure in the world, but that's a pretty cool touch right there, because that's that classic, you know, helmet that you'd see in the cartoon a lot right there. That looks pretty good. I mean, it's definitely plain, it's definitely old school, it's definitely a classic non-modernized look for it. But again, it fits this figure perfectly. And then he also comes with a pair of binoculars. These binoculars are just, you know, plastic. There's no bendability to this at all, so this obviously goes around his neck. So there it is with it on him. I'm not a huge fan of the way this looks. It looks kind of goofy. It doesn't work with this this sash right here, this bandolier. Like, it doesn't Yeah, it doesn't really work with that very much. So I would not display it with that, but I mean, it's there. You can not put it around his neck. You can, hang it around his arm, his shoulder or something, like that. Or you could put it on his backpack somewhere or something, but it's not my favorite piece in the set. Kind of, I could take it or leave it, and I'd like to leave it. Two fists, of course. He's got, the two trigger fingers on there, so he had to come with some punching fists to punch snakes in the face. And then the stand, same stand as Scarlett. I think they all come with the same stand. I don't know if Cobras come with a different stand with like a Cobra symbol on it or something. I don't know. Maybe I'll get a Cobra retro carded figure someday. All right, so that's everything with Retro Duke. He's got less accessories than Scarlett, but I definitely think he's definitely successful for sure. He's definitely my favorite version of Duke that I've seen for G.I. Joe Classified so far, and he hits all those retro notes that he needs to. The color scheme, the new sculpt, the classic backpack, classic gun, classic helmet. Like the face sculpt is a huge improvement too. Like this is definitely a good figure. This is definitely a worthy contribution to the classified line, and especially the retro line for sure. I like it. I'm happy I picked it up for sure. All right, picture time. All right, so that is retro carded Duke and Scarlett G.I. Joe Classified. I love Scarlett as a character. She's definitely my favorite G.I. Joe heroine, like I said before. So I'm super happy they made this retro version because it's definitely a huge improvement over the other two, which weren't that bad in my opinion. Duke is the same. This Duke needed to be made. This head sculpt is a huge improvement, and just his classic look is so good and so iconic. I love it. So I love both of these figures. So maybe this will be my, icebreaker into getting some more G.I. Joe Classified retro carded figures in the collection. I definitely dig these two, and I would highly recommend them if you collect the Classified series. I appreciate anyone watching this video and hanging out with me, and let me know below do you have the retro carded? Are you collecting retro carded ones? Let me know below. Let's chat. So there's a quicker one today, guys, gals, non-binary pals. Thanks for tuning in, and yo, Joe.